Costa's winning streak continues to distance himself from the field. But one track often sees things shaken up with its short lap length and technical layout. Road Atlanta could be what Reed needs to finally put one over on Wanmi. We'll see if he can as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi everyone, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is IMSA driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. With half a century behind it now, Road Atlanta is starting to get a little bit of age, but one thing that's ageless about it is the good racing it puts on. Let's check it out closer with our track guide. Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curving lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track. Honestly, I'd say some of the best races we've seen in the Sunday Grand Prix series have been at this track, Joey, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
Well, not just in the Sunday Grand Prix series, but everywhere. North American Road Racing Classic, Road Atlanta here. You're taking a look at it. 12 turns, just over 2.5 miles in length. And talking about these specific cars, I think going down the S's, watching the downforce really suck the cars down, but danger areas coming out of the S's. Turn 5, watch out for those curbs. Also, compare the downforce levels down that back straightaway into turn 10A, 10B. Your biggest and best passing opportunity might have a few differences in the MPHs or KMHs, depending on where you're from, going down that back straightaway, Joe.
Yeah, I think that backstretch is going to be a place to watch all race long. Now, as for the championship, like I was talking about, Wanmi Costa is kind of putting the moves over everybody here today, and Timothy Reed is just kind of picking up the pieces that he leaves behind, but been a relatively consistent season other than a few hiccups at Monza and Jerez for him. Timothy has multiple second-place finishes so far, and Dylan Freckleton, back there in third, has really stepped up his game this season. We'll see if he can get his second podium in his career here soon. Jack David Spickett also is finding himself getting much quicker. And the man that loves to run from the back of the field, Jason Clapper, is tied for 5th in points. Incredible stuff there from Jason Clapper to be able to do that, since he pretty much never qualifies. I don't think I've ever seen him qualify, but we have an F2 championship. Let's take a glance at that.
Right now, Tim Britton doing a very good job right now, kind of running away with it. That's important now that we're in that downhill slope of the championship. Keith Herner and also Patrick Samaran, probably our closest battle, only 7 points separating that second place position. Jump back a little bit further, Kurt Clapper, Antonio Alvarez, and then further back, it definitely tightens up. You look, only a handful of points separating 6th through 8th, Shady Ahmad, Jason Carlo, Miguel Moreland. And I feel like if you have some good turnouts here in the final half of the season, you might be able to jump up in the top 5 here.
Indeed. And as for this race, I mentioned it's a short lap. Well, 29 laps around this place. And that's all just within about a half an hour. Open setup for this series. You heard Joey talking about who's going to do what with the downforce down the back stretch. That is going to be decisive. They've got no spare car if they do run into any sort of damage. And at this track, honestly, it's kind of likely. There's some places where you can wind up in the walls quite easily. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and a DQ at 25. Don't anticipate this car offering them many chances to rack up those incident points without getting some serious damage out there today. Because it's just over a minute to circulate around here, we've already got most of the field with a time down. In fact, Seamus Power just took his second lap and stays in second. Oh, Phil Reed just jumped Timothy Reed, who was on the provisional pole. And I believe Timothy's coming around for his second lap as we watch Gernot Friesche here coming through 6 and 7. We'll see if he can maybe upset everybody as Timothy Reed puts a 109.267, about a tenth quicker than Phil, and takes that pole back.
Yeah, just times stacking on top of each other right now. And this is that long back straightaway that I was telling you about. And Joe, is this a new paint from Gernot over here? This is one I haven't usually seen.
I've seen him race in this one, but I'm trying to remember the last time we've seen him in the old green Lotus is what this is, actually, when they had Martini briefly. But as they exit out of the final corner, a 109.8 is going to put him up into 5th. Nice lap for Gernot. Not going to be pole, but he's still got a second one to go here, which does seem to be faster for most drivers.
I think that's the crucial part, is he does have that second lap to go. As we watch Javier Mascara really jump the curbs, I think he might have got an incident off track there. If you go too aggressive on the inside of those curbs, iRacing doesn't like it.
Well, and Mascara missed his first lap, so that's it for him. He's going to have to start from towards the back of the field. What about AJ Roper? Second time across does not improve. He's slower by about 2/10. So now we check out Juan Micosta. This is the man that I'm expecting likely to be up on the pole. Not only was he taking all those wins, but he was taking fastest lap and pole position, which are each worth 2 bonus points. He's got a perfect score 5 times already in the 7 rounds we've run.
It's been a little bit of dominance, speed and dominance, as I was saying earlier. And yeah, is anybody going to go up there and knock off Juan Micosta as Gernot Friesche comes around to complete his second lap? He does jump up 1 position up into 4th.
109.3, good enough for second place on the first lap for Juan Micosta. And he is half a tenth off of Timothy Reed. In fact, our top 3 split by just over a tenth of a second right now. It's very, very tight at the top of the field. Also, Jack David Spickett just put in a 7th place for his first lap, and he's 8 thousandths off of Seamus Power. He could easily jump up another spot.
Yeah, and good old JDS over here actually had a really good run last time out at Magny Core. I wonder if he's got some momentum on his side in this old Pepsi livery.
We'll find out soon enough. He's just ahead of Costa here, so those they're going to be across the line back-to-back, essentially, and they've got enough time to finish this out. That's the other nice thing about these short laps is we can see some drivers maybe wait until a little bit late to put them in. Took a lot of that first curve, but we'll see if it counts or not. He seems to be still on it, so he's going to at least run it out as he crosses the line. Second lap is a 109.652, and that will jump him up into 5th. Second lap for Costa is good enough for pole. He takes it away by more than a tenth of a second, and he is our last qualifier. So that is the grid set here. Juan Micosta on another pole position, taking another 2 bonus points with Timothy Reed in 2nd. Then it's Phil Reed in P3 and Nathan Finnegan starting 4th. After that, Jack David Spiggott, who we saw on his second lap, was good enough for a top 5. Gernot Friesche gets slotted down to 6th because of that. Seamus Power will start from 7th. Then it's Juho Reina in P8. And then the 5th row sees AJ Roper flanked by Dylan Freckleton.
Here in 11th spot, we have Luca Bercali. Next to him in 12th is Tim Britton. Then Keith Herner in 13th place. Also have Daniel Banker in 14th. And something to note here, Joe, 13th, 14th, got to go all the way back here before you get 1 second behind our leader. Barry West, 15th. Andreas Schuster, 16th. Cam Porter back here in 17th. And then the rest of these cars will start, but they did not put a lap time in. Javier Mascara, Jason Clapper, Kimmo Vilakainen, Jukka Tolinen, and Paul Adams.
So top split of 2 that we've got here today. And drivers now starting to grid up. Thankfully, a little bit of a cooler race than we saw in the Lotus 49s yesterday out at Okayama. They were up to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. This is only 76 Fahrenheit, with it being in the afternoon. What seems like a very cool day in May for Atlanta. But drivers now getting ready on the grid. The other weird thing about this one, though, not really a track that sees standing starts, Joey.
No, you see the field wrapping up around turn 12 here as we take a look with our last gridded car, Paul Adams. And you might think, well, hey, I got a downhill, but look at how far away you are track position-wise. You're pretty much in a losing battle right here.
Indeed so. As they get ready for it, we need Costa and Reed to grid up along with Finnegan here, and then we should be pretty much good to go. A few others up towards the front that are taking their time for this one. So we've also, let's not forget, got Phil Reed in here. We've dubbed him the Controller King because he races on an Xbox controller and is still wicked fast and also very safe in that car. So not for something for anybody to worry about like we typically will hear some people complain about those on controllers. Looks like, do we have everybody? Nope, we're still missing Jukka Tolinen, who failed to set a lap. Kimmo Vilakainen, who's another one who is tending not to set laps in this one, is starting from the back of the field. And there we go. Kimmo's on the grid. Just need Jukka out there in these last 10 seconds, unless he's had some issues. There we go. All right, let's get ready to go for round 8 of the Sunday Grand Prix series as the engines start to rev and the lights come up. And the green flag is out. Off the line, looks pretty decent for Timothy Reed. In fact, he's a little better than Ronnie Costa in the second phase as he starts to encroach around the outside. Don't think he's far enough along, and he's going to have to back out of it into turn 1 behind Tim. Looks like Phil Reed going to slot into line as they all now approach turn 3. Are we going to be able to get through this corner safely, which is blind and very sharp? Looks like we're good.
Really impressive from the entire field as we zipper down through the S's for the first time. Looks like we got one car off. Oh, that's the second car. I believe that was right in front of Kimmo Vilakainen.
Cam Porter looks like he wound up in the wall, but I didn't see who else was involved. We'll try and check out who the others were in the background there as they come out of turn 7. Costa trying to distance himself, and this is probably a good thing for him because this car is going to punch a big hole in the air down the back stretch, and Reed is going to find that because the other Reed is behind him and looking like he wants to make a move as they approach the chicane.
This is that draft, that top speed that I was talking about, and side by side in the 10A for the first time. Timothy Reed hangs on to the second place position, but I tell you what, Phil Reed with that controller looks like he's got some speed like he always does.
Nathan Finnegan giving a little bit of a peek on Phil. Couldn't quite make it stick, though, as they complete lap 1 and slide back into turn 1 once again up the hill. Costa leading by about a second. We could see a repeat of what we've seen in multiple races as he could run away with this one. But as I said, this track tends to shake things up. It's not just the track itself, but the lap traffic that they may encounter later. So don't think that this is over this early.
No, definitely not. And if I've learned anything from my time at Road Atlanta is that the track can bite really hard. And we haven't even mentioned how low slung these cars are and how high some of the curves are. So gotta be careful where you attack them.
Riding on board with Jukka Tolinen up 2 spots from where he began right now, hovering behind Andreas Schuster, who goes off to the inside, trying to cover him off just a little bit. It's going to poke his nose, which is going to be the inside down into the chicane, but remember, it switches back and forth. You can defend or attack from either side. Well, he's going to be fully past early braking from Andreas.
That really lets Yuka just focus forward, and actually right behind Andreas is Villakainen trying to make his way by, and it kind of reminds me like the hammer and the nail out there. Let Yuka go make the big hole for you.
Indeed. So Kimmo Villakainen now rocking up behind Schuster. Oh, I was going to say, don't look into it in turn 3. That's going to be sketchy. In fact, a little bit of a defense from Andreas into that corner regardless, just to dissuade that purple 6. So as they carry on down through the S's, back up into turn 5, another trouble spot that we may see problems at. A little bit of a better run here from Kimmo. Does he try it into 6 or does he wait for 7?
He's got to be patient here behind Andreas, but crucially, Yuka Tolin was able to get by Daniel Banker. So the more time that Kimmo loses behind Andreas Schuster here, he's just seen his buddy Yuka Tolinen drive off into the distance.
Yeah, could be valuable seconds getting away from him. Phil Reed and Timothy Reed are going to swap places. Phil Reed now up into P2. He's 1.1 behind Juan Mi Costa. I kind of wonder if Phil might have something for Juan Mi now that he's gotten past. Let's watch the laps and see what he can do now that he's in clear air.
And now, Joe, my memory fails me all the time, but if I remember correctly, Juan Mi has told me that him and Road Atlanta don't necessarily mix as well as some other tracks. So I wonder if this is an opportunity for Phil Reed, because look at this. He is flying.
Yeah, he obviously set the fastest lap last time, but that was with the help of the slipstream to go by Tim. So that may have helped that somewhat, and it's still early days as they're only on lap 4. So we'll see what this one holds as he comes onto the backstretch. It's 1.3 seconds apart right now, so mark that one down and watch for later in the laps to see if he reels him in. Coming down the backstretch, doesn't look like he's close enough to start pulling on him. It's up to 1.4, but it doesn't look like he has a lot more wing. It doesn't look like he's losing it down the straight, so maybe they're at least even on that front.
I was watching that data of both of the cars go down the straightaway, and you're right, they're pretty much identical in terms of that top end speed. So Juan Mi Costa doing everything that he can out front. You mentioned it, what was it, 5 wins so far in a total of 7 races? Well, it's looking like he's on cruise control again.
Yeah, he was about 0.3 faster on that lap. So here's Cam Porter. Very careful through turn 3. Good to see that, in fact, especially with the 2 wide. But the S's, you don't hear about them as often. Oh, and Villakainen got into him, unfortunately, after he had a little bit of a touch with, I think that's Mascara, that kind of had some slight net code with him.
Yeah, and it's coming down the S's in turn 1. It's difficult to judge that funnel. Just a little bit of contact, and I think both cars are still going as we jump back up here. Phil Reed trying to chase down our leader, but you mentioned it, that last lap time, even though Phil was clear in good air, 0.3 behind Juan Mi and slower.
So this will probably be even more telling when we see them cross the line here. If he's slower yet again, I'd say that at least in the early stages of this race, you could count Juan Mi as being faster. But these cars do change over the course of the race, depending on how you set them up. And this time by a 109.7 for Juan Mi, Phil Reed, a 1:0.10 flat. Both of them very, very consistent. That's bad news for Phil.
Yeah, and a 1:0.10. I'll have to look up how that one is classified out there. But yeah, it's not looking good right now for Phil Reed. He needs to either come up with something, or maybe he can work together with Timothy Reed out. However, if you don't have a plan like that already in place, it can be tough.
Ooh, we had a brilliant move farther back in the field. Kimmo Villakainen got by Andreas Schuster round the outside of turn 1 to take that 16th place. Let's take a look at this. He had been working on this for a lot longer than I anticipated. Kimmo usually charges up through the fields in the early stages, but through the outside at first, or inside at first, and then switches to the outside and zips on by.
Nice job there, though, and I think that Andreas probably realized that he's been holding up Kimmo for a great long time here. What are we on? Lap 6 now, and Kimmo, like you said, hasn't been able to make his way through, but now that he's at clean air, looks like he's going to make a move on Barry West out there.
Yep, so that's 2 within 1 lap, essentially. So maybe it was just something with Schuster's setup that he could not manage to get by him as quickly as he would have liked. Now he sets off after Daniel Banker, who's the next one. Already he's lost touch with Jukka Tolvanen. My goodness, he's way, way up the road at this phase. So interesting to see how the 4 has just kind of dashed away from this one as we hop on board with the Finn. Up in front of him is Dylan Freckleton. Didn't qualify as good as we've seen in some recent races, but he is still in 11th right now, down 1 from where he started.
And unfortunately, he's got a hungry Finn in his mirror, and I think Jukka with this exit here out of turn 7 is going to be in a prime opportunity to use this slipstream, make a braking move. And look at this, he's already got the closing rate. Does he go to driver's left here? Goes driver's right. Think he's going to trust that he's already going to be clear by the brake zone. Look at that, just confidence in the setup of that number 4 car.
Yep, easily passed, so you can now up to 11th, a gain of 7 positions. Viekainen, whoa, Banker just went off. So, and he was fighting with Viekainen. Wonder if that's related. Also, Barry West with a little bit of an off back through the chicane as well. So, multiple cars having issues down at that corner. Let's see. This is Daniel Banker. In front of him, the target number 16. Oh, just outbraked himself a little.
It's so easy to do, and then the identical car pretty much doing the same exact thing. Barry West right behind him. And I mean, you're coming down from 175 miles an hour, Joe. You got to be pinpoint.
Whoa, what happened to Phil Reed? That's Phil Reed off at the side of the track at what looks like turn 5, and he's way down the order. Did he have a mistake? He was looking like he was pushing for a second place with Timothy right behind him. And they're approaching 5 here. Was it those nasty curbs once again? Yeah, it was.
Joe, I mentioned it earlier. These cars are so low slung. I think that he maybe got high centered on that exit curb, and that's what spun him around.
That's what it looked like, yeah. These things don't like to bounce over them. As Tolvanen just took a spot down to the chicane over Luca Bracali. Freckleton trying to follow with him, though. And Luca trying to get the spot back down into turn 1. Takes a big look, but not a lot of braking into that corner in these cars. And ahead stays Jukka Tolvanen. So this now means that Timothy Reed's back into P2 with that incident for Phil. Nathan Finnegan gets promoted into 3rd. So there's your podium currently.
And, you know, we're not even halfway through this race here, and Jukka has been really impressive. I'm looking at his fast lap through traffic. Ooh, big save from Jason Clapper right there. But he's got the pace right now to be on the podium if he keeps it up. I'm not sure if the gaps are going to play to his way, but that number 4 car, serious speed.
Yeah, Jason took his best finish of the season last time out at Magny-Cours with a 7th place. He's just been so consistent that he's up there in the top 5 right now. So impressive stuff out of him so far. We'll see what he does here today as he's only down in 16th right now. Still watching with Jukka Tolvanen. I don't know if this is him kind of pulling a Viekainen here, if he meant to be back there, or if he just messed up both of the laps or what. But he's really slicing through the field and doing so what looks like with quite a bit of ease. So it's hard to say whether or not he really meant to do this or not, but I think he's enjoying himself at the very least. Let's see what he can do with AJ Roper.
And I tell you what, if he dispatches of AJ Roper pretty quickly, which I think it looks like he's going to do heading down into turn 6, look at the exit he got off of turn 5, just drives right around AJ Roper for that 8th place position. And he's only about 3.5 seconds back from Seamus Power, but that group, it looks like a gaggle of about 3 cars. So Jukka Tolvanen, eyes forward.
And I thought maybe he made a mistake in passing him as early as he did, but Roper's not nearly close enough to fight back down the backstretch. Usually that's kind of one of those double-edged swords. You can try to make that pass into 6, but if they're right with you, they can pass you back on the backstretch. Looks like we're going to check out the battle here with Tim Britton. Jason Clapper in front of him. Javier Mascara on a recovery drive and not doing too shabby. He's up 16th, a gain of 4 positions so far, but he's stuck behind Britton.
I think both of those cars on either side of Britain, weren't those involved in that lap 1 incident? So yeah, both of these cars doing a good job. Got it back going, fighting for a top 15.
It's always good battles up and down the order. We have to remember this is top split, so you've got some incredible talent in this series. Even when you get down towards the slower, quote, slower end of the field, you're still looking at cars in the high 2000s in I rating, which is not slow. That's pretty much your typical mid-packers in most races, as Juan Micosta leading up at the front has an astonishing 6,400. Mosquera seems to have gotten into trouble, though, because he's now in the pit lane. He's towed the car.
Oh, no. I know that had some issues earlier. Oh, yeah, it looks like Tim Britton had a problem right in front of him, Joe. This is going to be kind of a deja vu, and this is actually a huge wreck coming out of turn 5. Watch this. Multiple cars.
Yeah, the ATS cars of Banker and West. Watch, both of them. 1 and 2 both get a piece of it. I think Barry got a little less of it, but Daniel Banker went for a serious tumble, and that was it for him. And we've had another one on the front stretch just now as we're continuing to watch this replay. Bricali, AJ Roper, and a car in its lid. Dylan Freckleton. Oh, poor Dylan, after such a good finish in Hungary. Can't seem to repeat the good performance.
Timo Villakainen was involved in that one, too. He was the 4th car. That was 2 4-car incidents, Joe.
So I think we've got the replay here. This was out of the final turn. This is a very fast corner with not much runoff. What happens here? Oh, and they're already wrecking. Whoa, that's Bricali doing his best top impersonation. Oh, boy. So what caused him to do that? Oh.
Deja vu, right? Another car that just spun in front. This time it wasn't 5, it was 12, and 3 more piled in.
Hopefully that was not with VR, or else his lunch is probably somewhere on his rig right now. As there's Kimo Villakainen. Ooh, we got a big piece of it. Wonder how much damage that left on the front of the car.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm looking at Kimo, and Kimo's actually currently in the pits from what I see.
So it must have been a little too much there. Excuse me. I'm not seeing a meatball flag, so it must not have been something really that shows up well, but maybe it damaged the handling of the car, and he just couldn't carry on from there. As we now come onto the back stretch with JDS and Nathan Finnegan fighting for 3rd place. Finnegan has inherited this spot, and Spigot says, I would like that, please.
Yeah, Jack David Spigot, both of these cars actually having good runs right now. They both qualified up front and fighting for that last podium step there, but Finnegan versus JDS, I guess not even halfway. We're coming up to halfway right now, Joe.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a lot more. There's been so many incidents in this race, and not necessarily just wrecks, but lots of stuff happening. And I just saw Bricali have some sort of issue out there. We'll check on that in a little bit, but we stay here with this fight coming down into the S's once again. This has gobbled up a lot of cars. My goodness, at least 7 of them have had problems that have either retired them or sent them down to pit lane for repairs.
It's pretty surprising given the talent of the field here, and I don't think that it's malicious wrecks or bad moves. I think it's a little bit of Road Atlanta biting these cars, and then you see how high speed it is. There's nowhere to go if you're battling.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you. There's a little weave from Finnegan, trying to keep Jack David Spigot from getting too close to him and breaking that draft. But yeah, I feel like this is sort of an underrated track. I feel like in North America it's still pretty widely respected, but when we talk about tracks that tend to bite people so easily, I don't often hear Road Atlanta mentioned. It is a track that will gobble up cars if they do not respect it.
Yes, they will. Let me tell you, Joe, if we go there during a pro race weekend, you will see plenty of wrecked cars littered throughout this racetrack. Because like you were saying, if you go off, usually the speeds here that they're going, look, there's not much runoff. That's concrete walls on both sides here. You might get lucky with a gravel trap right here, but most often than not, that spits you out left side towards another concrete wall.
Been watching the battle behind Spigot now. This is with Reina and Freesia. Kind of surprised in all the chaos that we've had. Gernot is still where he started. He's in 6th place. At times he's been very quick, especially at the end, but now we're at 15 laps to go. Is this where the car starts to really come into its own and he can push forward? You can see he's got the number 2 next to him, very high I rating, the winningest driver ever in this series, but he's still struggling a little bit to try and move up to the top 5 as he continues to try and hassle the number 15 in front of him, and they'll cross the line once more. They'll have to try and set something up soon here as we come back to Spigot now, less than 0.2 of a second behind that gearbox.
Up over turn 3 and make the charge down the S's. This steep hill and level it out before turn 5 here. Careful on curbs both sides. Through turn 5, don't high center the car, and here comes the most crucial part of this racetrack in my opinion, turn 7. It's all about getting the power down, getting the launch out onto the longest straightaway here on the track.
And as they fly down the backstretch, he's awful close. I think Jack's got a good chance at it. Nathan Finnegan, is he going to defend once again? He goes off to the right-hand side. That's the racing line, but that won't defend that first apex. What happens down here? Almost looks like he wanted to drift over, then decided against it, and they're going to stay in line. So there's some valuable information. Despite being only about 3 car lengths back, Jack was not close enough.
I also wonder, I know in real life, off track gets very, very dirty. So I wonder with the grip and the downforce levels that they're making, if it's actually preferable to stay on that racing rubber gripped up line. That's a good point. We don't see it as much here on iRacing, but the straights do have just a little bit of a different grip out there and up through the fields. They see him just weave through the S's and they get spit out at turn 5. Yeah, look at how much he's respecting the curbs compared to what we saw earlier when a car went off and just found himself spinning off into the wall. That was Phil Reed, who's, by the way, still down in 9th spot and still carrying on. This is a lot closer for the number 2. Is he going to be able to get the pass done down the backstretch as he rides in the toe of the number 15? He closes in and staying on the racing line once again. Juho not going to defend. Gernot down to the inside as they are nose to nose under braking. He just manages to get ahead, gives some space at the second apex, and that's going to put him into 5th. Just good, hard racing between those two braking duels side by side in 10A, and then room given to each other in 10B. Continue on here for a top 5.
So 4 seconds to make up to Jack now. He's got some time to do it, but it'll take some impressive pace. Maybe now that he's in clear air, we'll see him start to pick it up. But, and is that a lap car ahead? Yeah, that's Paul Adams that they're going to overtake as we come back to Seamus Power now. It's Tolanen behind him, and he's caught up to Juho. When did he get up here?
Well, if you remember, no, Gernot and Juho really aren't that far up the road. You know, you look, they're only about a second up the road from Seamus, who's right here in front of Yuka. So all of a sudden, this has really developed into a battle that Yuka could go steal away a top 5.
Absolutely. So definitely some sneaky moves here from our drivers to just get good pace and catch up to those battling in front. Another fastest lap for Juan Micosta up at the top, trying to take that perfect score. Once again, every time he has one, it has been a full sweep of the fastest lap and the pole bonus that you can get in this series. So not expecting anything less at this stage. It'd be more of a surprise if he did not do that. But watching this battle for P5, Freesia actually pulling away a little bit here, so it might be more of a battle for 6 pretty soon, although they're coming up to that lap traffic. Is this going to slow him up? He's got a good spot, actually. Yep, there he goes. And slow driver of, I think that is that Paul Adams? Yeah, that's Paul Adams letting him go.
I got to be amused when you're Paul Adams, too. It's like you're doing the right thing, letting them go, and you're like, all right, let's let one car go. And but how many are there? 3, 4 coming? Oh, my goodness.
Poor guy isn't racing anybody, though. He's 27 seconds behind Keith Herner's last car in the lead lap right now. Might get lapped by Ronnie Costa. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, so Tolinen and his impressive charge has added to the tally. He's up 11 now. Seamus Power, unfortunately, unable to hold him down and gets bumped to 8th. So Reina up next, his fellow Finn. Is he going to fight harder?
I mentioned that pace that Yuka's had. Look at that best lap. 109.59. That's good enough for second place on the charts right now in terms of speed. So I think that he's going to go up here and pass a few more.
Yeah, I don't think that'll get him up to second place. He's about 11 seconds behind Timothy Reed right now. That'd be massive to do that here with only 10 laps to go. Watching from on board JDS as Finnegan is within striking range if he really wants to be aggressive here. Is he good under braking? He's following him down the straight, plunging down the hill now, looking for that marker. He's getting right on top of him, but not close enough.
Oh, just a little peek of the nose there. Maybe try to get Nathan Finnegan to miss his brake marker. Just do whatever you can to try to upset that car in front of you. And I wonder when that move from Jack is coming, because you've called it a couple times. He's had a tremendous run and a good draft down that back straightaway.
Indeed. So 9 laps to go at this stage. It is ticking over, and he is trying to see what he can do with what little time is left here for this event, and also getting towards the end of the season. It's looking more and more like Costa is going to get his first championship in the Sunday Grand Prix series. The way it has been going, it's almost to the stage where we're going to have to start thinking about at what point has he locked it up mathematically. It gets a little complicated because they do have a number of drop weeks in this series, but we'll get that information as often Michael DeTurk is really on top of that for us. Here we go again. Another big run coming down into the braking zone, but not a good enough of a run from JDS. He just keeps hovering so close, and credit to Finnegan, he's not cracking under the pressure.
Yep, he's doing a great job hitting his marks in turns 10A, and let me tell you, that's when you got everything pouring on you. You see the car in your mirror closing in as close as he's going to get. You know, if you overstep it, you're going to let him by. You know, if you go early on the brakes, he's going to take advantage. So you're right, just Nathan Finnegan, great job hitting your marks.
Down through the S's once again. A little bit of that exit curve for for Nathan Finnegan, rather, as he tries to stay out of range of Jack David Spickett. He's got to be careful that he doesn't chuck the car here late in this race. Other thing that we haven't mentioned, as the fuel gets lighter, these things tend to like to dance, Joey. So I don't know if I'd be flirting with those curbs more towards the end.
No, we've seen them bite a few competitors, whether it be turn 5, whether it be turn 12. So I think you always have to be aware of the ride height and what you got going on. And not only that, but I feel like if you jump some of these cars, you could potentially put damage on the underside of your car.
That's a good point, yeah. And that will slow them down in a straight line. It's that sort of hidden damage you can't see and you won't know until you just wonder why everybody's able to blow by you. As Jack David Spickett through turn 1 is not able to get close. He seemed to be a lot closer for a while. Now almost seems like he's falling back, and that will definitely cause him to fall back as he puts 2 wheels in the dirt out of turn 3.
Momentum area, yeah. A little sketchy over turn 3, and especially here in iRacing, but jumping back, this is Yuka now. Looks like Yuka has caught up with Mr. Reina, challenging for 6th place.
All right, how high can he go? He's cut it down, and ahead of him, it's 1 more second up to Gernot Friesche, so still doable, I think, in these last few laps. Past Gernot, though, I'm not sure. I think a top 5 might be the most we see out of Yuka. Not going to be close enough coming down the back stretch, I fear, as Juho keeps him at arm's length. There you can see Gernot in the green machine just ahead of them, so he's going to have to try and pick it up. Only a top 5 today for Friesche it's looking like at best, unless someone in front of him has a major mistake at this stage. Costa, we haven't mentioned it. He's up to about 7 seconds over Timothy Reed. It's basically been smooth sailing for him, just kind of running through this race. Keith Herner did get lapped by him, and don't think Barry West is going to be caught by the end of this one, although that might be close. So we're going to see probably around 11 or 12 drivers finish on the lead lap, and only 15 drivers potentially finishing out of 22.
Been a high attrition rate out there for sure. Those two accidents pretty much back to back didn't help things out. And just trying to analyze what we're watching here between these three cars on screen, and I think that if Gernot is able to pull it out just a little bit over Juho, then we've got a different race on our hands. I think Juho Raina is being saved a little bit by the slipstream right in front of him, keeping Yuka at a distance. But as soon as that is broken, I feel like Yuka is going to be all over the back of this number 15 car.
Across the start-finish line once again. Laps are now coming down to it. So at 5 to go, we're looking at barely 5 minutes left in this race. Up the hill, that camera angle really shows you just how steep it is, how blind that corner is. Big moment there for Tolanen, and he catches it somehow. I want to see an onboard of that one. That was full Georgia drift from him. Here
Look
we
at
go.
This. Yeah, coming up over turn 3 here, Joe. Just a curb upset him, he jumps it. That might have been what it was, just the landing off of jumping that curb up. Wow, fast hands.
And, I mean, maybe someone didn't tell him that they hold the drift events at Lanier across the street, but, I mean, great job on it.
No, Joe. They do them both here down the S's, and actually where Yuka started is where they started.
There you go. Okay, so he's just practicing for once iRacing adds those cars, I suppose, as he comes through the chicane and then up over the final few turns now. He's lost a little bit of time to Tolanen, and he's going to have to really pick it up to try and get back on it. But Raina's getting ever closer to Freesia once again.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of an accordion there. I thought Juho was doing a good job as not letting go of Freesia. And I tell you what, if he lets go of Gernot up there, I feel like Yuka's definitely going to be on his bumper. So I think the number 15 car is doing a really good job just kind of racing his race. I know Gernot got by him, but he is definitely not giving up out there. And I know we also haven't talked about our leader that much. And I want to say this is actually looking okay because, Joe, if you remember, sometimes it's like 20-plus seconds that Wanmi is out there.
Yeah, it's impressive what he's been able to do compared to everybody else out. It's just, I mean, this season has been Wanmi's season. Some of it, I think, is he's had some of his close competitors not really be around as much, and that helps, but we can't discredit the way that he's basically said, okay, you know, I've been given this opportunity thrown in my lap. I'm not going to throw it away, and I'm going to do it with incredible style.
Talk about incredible style. Nathan Finnegan using the entire track. Oh, here we go. This is a run here for Jack David Spickett. Not really anywhere to go with it down the S's, but maybe that's just Nathan Finnegan starting to lose a little bit of pace.
Could be. He's having to try and hold on and defend a little bit now because we haven't seen Jack this close in quite some time. As they now come out of turn 7. Oh, but he needed a better exit. He spun up the tires. That's going to cost him valuable tenths.
You need all the traction you can coming out of turn number 7 there. And Jack David Spickett not going to be able to do anything with the run this time. And with the lap count, definitely time is dwindling. 2 laps to go now for these drivers. Up and over, as Jack has got to try and tidy that one up. He was so close. It was probably as close as he needed to be, but it was his own doing that undid that attempt at Nathan Finnegan down the backstretch.
Now heading back into turn 3 once again. Can he gather it back up? A slide from Nathan Finnegan. Definitely feeling the pressure now. Seeing little cracks in the armor from both drivers.
I think I'm seeing Nathan Finnegan oh, here we go. Here's the opportunity for Jack David Spickett. Finnegan with a huge wiggle. At turn 5, they're going to go side by side into turn 6. Still, Spickett versus Finnegan.
Around the outside, can he cut back and maybe get a better exit? No, once again for the second lap in a row. He spins up the tires. It was right there for the taking, and Jack could not make it work. Nathan lives to fight another day.
Oh, man, that was a great opportunity for Jack David Spickett, but I tell you what, line it up one more time. He's going to have another lap at it.
They fly over the bridge there, now looking for the white flag. There it is, coming across the line. Costa's got this thing more than wrapped up, but these two have not decided the last step on the podium. Coming up over the rise into turn 3. Not going to be close enough this time. They both had a moment last time. Looks like he's clean. Good exit, though, by Jack. Can he set himself up? They both, Nathan had a problem coming over turn 5 last time. This time it looks decent, although a little bit of a slide from the number 7. What have they got into turn 7?
Here we go. It's all about putting the power down. Jack David Spickett didn't get it done last time, but here's Juan Costa. He's going to win it, but closer than ever between Spickett and Finnegan down the back straightaway.
Looks like Juan Costa gets another win. Will it be a perfect score with the fastest lap? Behind him, Reed is going to grab second. Finnegan side by side with Spickett, trying to hold on at the last moment. Oh, he gets tipped off. He's into the gravel. Spickett is through, and he's going to take third. And falling further down the order, Finnegan only going to get 7th as Freesia picks up 4th.
Oh, Gernot sneaks in there for 4th place position. Juho 5th. Jukka Tolvanen coming home 6th.
It all came to a head in the last few corners. I'm curious what they have to say about that one, but doesn't look like there are many battles left after this as the last of them come to the line. We're going to have to take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, Juan Costa with another dominating victory, this time at Road Atlanta, 9.5 seconds over his closest competitor, Timothy Reed, in 2nd place. Jack David Spickett with a great race at the end, claiming the final podium spot there in 3rd. Gernot Freesia 4th. Juho Rinne picking up the pieces there in 5th. Jukka Tolvanen 6th. Nathan Finnegan was the one who lost out in that battle, got shoved all the way back to 7th place there. Seamus Power 8th, Phil Reed 9th, and Jason Clapper, who I believe is our biggest mover, up into 10th. I'm sorry, I take that back. Jukka Tolvanen was our biggest mover. Here in 11th place, Andreas Schuster followed up with Barry West, our first car. 1 lap down, then we got Keith Herner, Paul Adams, and the rest here either DNFs or multiple problems on the racetrack. Dylan Freckleton, Bercali, and more. 22 cars took the green flag, but only about 15, 17 or so were able to claim the checkered flag at the end here. Looks like we've got a couple interviews going to be coming in, and looks like Phil Reed is joining us. Phil, congrats on the 9th place finish, but I know it wasn't what you were looking for after running up front for the most part of this race.
Yeah, but, that's what you get for doing a spin. So, it is what it is. Disappointing, but we'll get over it. I had pretty good pace, I think, and yeah.
I thought you had tremendous pace out there. I think when you got clear there into second, I was wondering if you're going to be able to go hunt down Juan Mi. Now, talk to me about that spin. If memory serves correct, it was turn 5 exit. Was it just getting the car high-centered out there? What happened?
Yeah, it's annoying because I'd even said to myself going, if you go out too wide on that, especially early on, there's a good chance you'll bottom out and go around. And I think that's exactly what happened. Bottomed out. I practiced it. I'd practiced to the point where I was like, hey, if you're out here, you know what to do, so don't do it. And then I did it. And then I just about sort of saved it from really touching the wall. I think when I first initially contacted going in, I didn't actually get any damage. But then when I tried to then get it going again, and I tried to do a spin, but I got it a bit wrong, and I went forward just a little bit too much, and I couldn't stop it. So then I picked up damage on the attempt at recovery, which is annoying because I think if I hadn't done that, I possibly could have had a bit more. Maybe I could have caught the next car ahead, but I don't think much more than that. But yeah, it's just one of those ones that it is what it is.
Yeah, no, and I know that even though you're on the controller over there, you're one of the fastest and cleanest competitors here racing these Lotus 79s. And before I let you go, anybody you want to say hi to?
I'll say hi to just the great community. It's the people that like to shout. Don't have any sponsors really. But it's just for continuing to put on such a great night. This is the greatest series really. With this time slot, it's there's not much better on iRacing really.
No, I agree with you, Phil. I think the racing here in the Lotus 79 community is some of the best. And here in the top split, it is week in, week out, heated between the positions. And happy to have you out here with us.
Thank you.
Well, that was Phil Reed coming home in 9th place. And then looks like we actually have our race winner, Juan Mi Costa, joining us. Congrats on taking home another perfect race, Juan Mi.
Thank you.
Now, I know that we spoke, you said that Road Atlanta maybe wasn't one of your favorites, and look at this, you didn't win by 20 seconds this time. You only won by 9.5 seconds. What is it going to take for some of these other guys to come and race you? What's happening? How are you so good, Juan Mi?
I don't know, yeah. Team had some battles at the beginning with Phil. Maybe slowed it down, maybe. And I think he made the mistake during mid race or so, but he has been super fast this week. The first half of the race, I know he usually is in my pace. Maybe in the second half where I was faster this week.
Well, there's one variable that's coming up on the schedule here, and it's next week. It is our first street circuit of the season. You're going to Detroit. How do you feel about that one?
It has some walls, I think.
Some walls. Yeah, it's got a lot of walls.
Let's see how much we can get closer to them.
Well, you heard it here. Juan Mi Costa going to go up and scrape some walls, Joe Tanto style, picking up quarters on the racetrack. And Juan Mi, before we let you go, anybody you want to say hi to?
Congrats to Tim and Jack. Also, Phil and Nathan have been very fast this week. And thank you for the broadcast and the guys who race with the Lotus 79. Thank you.
Well, Juan Mi Costa wearing the number 1 plate out there with another perfect weekend here at Road Atlanta. And looks like we also have Timothy Reed now joining us in the booth. Now, Timothy, you were locked into a battle with another Reed out there. You come home second. What did you need to go chase down Juan Mi today?
Need a lot more speed, I'll tell you that. We were closer in pace. I'm happy to be within 10 seconds of him, but there was no way that I was going to be able to catch up to him. He needed a spin or something really bad to happen, but I know he was in just bring it home mode. So I just did the same, and I'm happy with the second place.
Well, and I just asked Juan Mi because the biggest variable of the season is coming up next week, a street circuit. You guys haven't been to a street circuit yet this season. How do you feel going into the tight concrete walls of Detroit?
It's a super fun track with this car. It doesn't seem like it, but it's a great combo. Unfortunately, I'm going to have some other commitments next weekend, so I'm going to miss that out. So I think that means that Juan Mi does clinch the championship, I think. So congratulations to him on that.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I believe with the drop weeks and everything, he might do that. Timothy Reed, I hope to see you back maybe at VIR the week after Detroit.
Absolutely. Great track, too. All right,
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tim, and before I let you go, is there anybody you want to say hi to?
Again, thanks to you guys and the community for getting all this together, doing a great job, and looking forward to more races.
Awesome. Well, that was Timothy Reed coming home in second place position today, and that is going to do it here at Road Atlanta. Thanks to the team today, Joe, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website store, and merchandise store. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race, we mentioned it, Detroit, Sunday, May 14th, a week from today, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, is the next race for these Lotus 79 cars. And actually, go on over. The Majors from Indianapolis is live right now on GSRC. So stop watching this one. Go watch the Majors at Indianapolis. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.